Hey there, and welcome to Travel TV on Independent.ie. Now, I'm just back from Barcelona and it's as brilliant a city break as ever. But this time, I really felt the crowds. And it turns out I'm not the only one. Barcelona is one of the great European cities. Its food, art, atmosphere and football team all attest to that. From Gaudi's swirling architecture to magic fountains and sizzling beaches, it enchants tourists in their millions. And that's the problem. This year, Barcelona will welcome some 7.6 million visitors. That's almost 5 times its population. City breakers, cruise ship passengers and package holidaymakers pack its streets, and sometimes it's hard to avoid feeling like a sardine. You know things are getting serious when the mayor puts a year-long freeze on holiday accommodation, when large groups are banned from La Corkery, and when graffiti like this starts to appear on Twitter. So how can you enjoy the city without making the situation worse? How can you go from this to this? The first trick with Barcelona is to plan how you travel. Book midweek or at quieter times and you save both time and money. Next, book the big attractions online. Don't make the mistake of thinking you can show up at the Picasso Museum or Sagrada Familia and walk straight in. Now, I've gotten up bright and early to come and visit the Sagrada Familia, and it's just as well. It's 8:45 a.m. and already the people queuing outside have been told that the next entrance is at 5:30. The Sagrada Familia is Antoni Gaudi's masterpiece, a jaw-dropping cathedral that remains under construction 90 years after his death. My tip here is to book one of the early slots. It gets more crowded as the day goes on, so early birds get more of the magic and less of the masses. Another popular spot you should hit early is La Corkery, Barcelona's famous market. It opens at 8 a.m. but never really packs out until a little later, so why not stop by for breakfast? The Gothic quarter is similar. During the day it can be thronged. Get there early though, and it's another world. If you're visiting at peak times, I'd suggest skipping some of the big hits for smaller discoveries. Now, Barcelona is one of the most crowded tourism cities in the world, but it is possible to avoid those crowds once you know where to look. Just a few yards from La Cathedral, for example, you'll find Plaça Sant Felip Neri, a leafy little oasis where Gaudi once came to pray. It still bears the scars of the Spanish Civil War. A little research and insider knowledge goes a long way in Barcelona. Fancy a trip to the beach? Well, you'll hit fewer crowds if you walk past the busy beaches of La Barceloneta and towards the ends of the strip. It's similar with Montserrat. The famous mountaintop monastery is a must-do day trip about an hour from the city. And you can grab a breather by skipping away on a little cross-country hike with trails all to yourself. Of course, it's not all about the old city and those epic cathedrals. Barcelona is quite capable of packing out its modern day attractions too. And none more so than this, the Camp Nou, home to FC Barcelona. The Camp Nou experience is another one to book online. Otherwise, you can expect to queue for at least half an hour before you join the hamster wheel leading through the museum, stadium, press areas and more inside. It's busy, it's expensive, but it's definitely worth the trip. The other thing to do is get exploring. I found this cool trends map on a side street and I like the look of a funky bar at the edge of El Born. I went for a walk and I found it shoehorned into a passage between buildings. Cool, uncrowded, and not a cruise ship passenger in sight. And cheers to that. It'll be interesting to see where Barcelona goes from here. I mean, clearly the city needs its tourism revenue, but locals don't want it to become a theme park in the vein of Venice either. Now, our thanks to Barcelona Tourism and Karen Lynn for their help with footage on this week's show. And remember, you can book great value city breaks with our colleagues on Independent Travel. Till next time, safe travels.